All right. 1,000 is a really, really big number. I am thankful. Thank you for 1,000 subscribers. When I started this channel, it was entirely, honestly, just for me. And something that I can kind of commit to those of you that happen to be interested in this is that it will continue just to be for fun. I want to celebrate 1,000 subscribers because I want you to know that, like, I am humbled by that actively. I want you to know that, like, I'm, like, impressed and overwhelmed and baffled. A tidbit about me in, like, real life, like, if you actually know me in person, I hate getting compliments. I cannot handle them, and they make me super embarrassed, and I try to, like, avoid them as hard as I possibly can. And you know, I log onto my channel and I see this 1.0K, this 1,000 subscribers, and I take that as like an extraordinary compliment. And I'm just genuinely humbled. And I'm going to try to not think about it as much as possible, if you kind of get me, right? If someone compliments me in real life, I try to, like, avoid it and not think about it and let it slip through my head, because, like, I'm a very egotistical dispositioned person. And to keep myself humble, I try to avoid all compliments. So I want to say thank you for the 1,000 subscribers. And I also want you to know that I'm going to consciously not let that go to my head. I want to make a commitment in this video. We're not just celebrating 1,000 subscribers. I'm going to update you on some stuff that's been going on in my life and talk about the channel and some reflections and that sort of stuff. I want to continue making a commitment to you, like the actual people in the comments. Like, that's like a big thing, is I don't want to chase the number. I don't want to chase 2,000 and 3,000 and 4,000 and 100 million subscribers. Like, I don't want to chase a number. I want to chase a feeling. I want to chase the purpose of this channel and what it's here for. So just know, as much as this channel has grown already, like a lot, I want to keep connected to real people, and I want to focus in on, like, the material instead of chasing an abstract concept of more subscribers, more viewership, more comments. I want to comment back to you. I want to have conversations with you. I want to put my learning out into the world and learn something together because I'm putting it out there. That's how I want this to work. I want to avoid some of the worst downfalls, the pitfalls of parasocial behavior, this weird, like, creator audience interaction. I want to deal with that by destroying the concept of the audience in my own mind. So I want you to know that as this channel grows, I am grateful, I am humbled, I am happy to see that we've hit 1,000 subscribers, but I want you to know that I'm going to keep doing this for the same reasons I started it in the first place. And I guess that's important to recommit to you what that is right now. I started this channel for one purpose, and it was personal development. I wanted to practice what I preached. I wanted to keep learning specifically, right? It's called the quiet part because if you watch with a keen eye people in positions of power speaking about their influence and their choices and the things they do, if you talk about pre-existing systems, ways of thinking that are common and popular, if you pay enough attention, it will become obvious what the contradictions are. It will become obvious what the lies are, what the inconsistencies are, and I cannot help but latch on to those little tidbits of dishonesty, and I want to tear them open and learn about them, and I want to take them apart and put them back together and comprehend why these contradictions exist. I have a background in education. I say it way too often, but the effect that had on me is that I really love learning, right? If you've ever heard of, like, the 7 deadly sins or whatever, my most prolific and profound disposition is greed. Not for money, not even particularly for power. I am extremely greedy about knowing things. Like, I genuinely, when people talk about, like, ooh, you know, if you were immortal, it would be so bad, because no, I would love to be immortal because I want to learn everything ever. I want to learn how to do everything ever. I want to be able to build anything. And I also just want to understand everything. And it's just like this endless drive that I have to keep learning stuff. And the things that catch my eye are the the edges of the frame that are a little distorted, right? Those things when a person in a position of power, right? This is going to be way too topical. This is way too like news stuff. But you know, I just heard former President Biden, Joseph Biden, on the radio. Yes, I listened to the radio. He was giving like his final address, his like farewell speech or whatever. And something that's been popping off is that he said, you know, the United States is quickly becoming an oligarchy. You know, I hear that and I'm like, holy shit, you just said the thing, but you're the thing. And so, you know, I love learning concepts or looking at popular ways of thinking, popular ways of believing, popular ways of living, and I like looking for the edges of them, the edges that are just a little wrong, and something isn't matching up. There's a contradiction hidden somewhere, and I like bringing those to the surface. And the channel was built entirely because I just thought, well, I should tell people. Like I'm already doing all of this work because I personally want to learn these things. I should like share that with other people. And obviously, let's talk about reviewing the channel so far. I think the channel is technically like 1.5 years old now. My oldest videos are from years and years ago. That's why I know how to record videos. That's why I know how to edit. That's why I know how to do some of this stuff, because I was doing this for fun long before this channel existed. I've been making little videos since I was like a teenager because it was interesting to me. I liked telling stories and I love the tech part of videography. It's always been very interesting to me. But, you know, if we talk about what are the niches of this channel, it ended up being education, right? Talking about the American education system or educational frameworks and looking at the micro and the macro of how they're contradictory, right? Of how they're just invalid and how they're wrong, and the ways in which these systems, because they are popular and because they are old, they're accepted despite their terrible, obviously negligent flaws. So I look into education and I try to scrutinize public education. And then interestingly, I've started scrutinizing environmental like doomerism, like environmental apocalyptic collapsism. I was a science teacher. I care about public education. I also care a lot about science, and specifically environmental science, which is so relevant to me in a lot of ways. I got interested in solar punk. I got interested in public education. I've talked a lot about punk and politics now. You know, I made a random video about greenhouses. I made videos about my like engineering work that I do. I like all these niches that I've been following, honestly, and I don't particularly want to change. And I know completely, I want to continue making this commitment to you. I know that if I zeroed in on one of these things, I could probably zero in on solar punk or like angsty teacher bitches at camera videos. I could probably zero in on one of those and it would be better for the channel, like on paper. I'm not going to do that because neither of those things interest me wholly. I have like 30 things I want to learn about and 30 things that I'm interested in, and I want to keep pursuing those things. So I can make a general commitment to you that I'm not going to sell out to myself. I may literally start making like money off of this channel if that's a thing that happens, which leads me into the next sort of announcement. Not right now. I guarantee it'll be months before I do this. But now that we've hit this sort of milestone and I've talked to some of you about it in polls, I would like to monetize this channel at some point. I'm not going to make merch. I'm not going to generate a product. I'm not doing any of that sort of thing. I think I'll turn on YouTube channel memberships, and I'll try to make it whatever the cheapest amount that I possibly can is. Because, again, the humility thing is not believing that it's appropriate for me to ask like a lot of money from my viewers, for God's sake. That's very foreign to me. But I would want to turn those things on because I do end up putting a lot of money into this channel. It's always been a hobby, so I don't really care how much that money is. It's something I chose and I didn't need it to pay itself off. But if we could fund me to do more things, oh my God, I would do so much stuff. I would love to travel to places more. I would love to interview people. Oh my God, I would love all of that. But that's always been out of my range. So now that we've hit 1,000, I'm going to start planning to make YouTube channel memberships. I'll at least offer something to the audience. I think what I'd do is maybe a once a week live stream or something where I just talk about what's going on. I'd like to make a Discord. I know I talk about social media. One of the only ones I like actually is Discord. I just like that it can be very small and it can be very like personal, and there's video and audio chat and there's channels, and it's a community, right? That's to a good scale. So I think I'd like to make a Discord that you can only get into if you are a channel member, to keep it to a really good size where I know everyone really well and that sort of stuff. That is some stuff that we are looking forward to. In terms of more general things, general life updates, what's been going on with me, what have I been up to, what are we looking at like down the pipeline? Well, I mean, first, I have like 10 video ideas that I want to do. Like I actually have like 4 that I could be doing in the next week or two, and I don't know which one I want to do because they're all really fun. Like they all sound fun to me. Like I want to do them because they sound so interesting. And regarding videos, talking more about reflecting on the past year and a half of videos, when I started this channel, it was 100% off the dome. This is obviously 100% off the dome. This is not scripted in any way. I am making this up as I talk. Those videos were successful, and I feel like they communicated what I wanted them to. And then I started experimenting with scripting videos as well. Pre-writing a script, or at least an outline, and reading those word for word. And I had some people complimenting that, like, you know, I sound very natural reading from a script. I'm sure it's from the years of teaching. But I think each of those formats offers very different things in terms of quality of communicating concepts and information to you, the audience. And for my practice, like, it's one thing for me to think really hard about something and not research it and then go off the dome. The point is still for me to learn things. Like, I'm putting what I prefer first, because I'm incredibly humbled that anyone will be interested in this channel or me or my content. But the thing that motivates me and is going to make me continue making this stuff for you guys is the fact that I want to learn. So I'm going to weigh doing stuff off the dome still and doing stuff scripted. That'll be an interesting mix over time. But in terms of more general life updates, hi, I'm doing good. I just turned 26 very recently. That feels old to me. That feels very old. I am in a period of transition. That is what is going on in my life outside of this channel. I have videos on it. You can check them out. My partner and I have undertaken the risky change of lifestyle that is trying to live in the thing we are currently standing in. This is a box truck that I turned into a mobile home. And for 1 year, we plan on living in this and parking it in different places legally. We've actually figured out a pretty consistent legal way of doing it in the city of Denver. We're going to be parking it and then taking our e-bikes to our jobs and then making a bunch of money while not paying rent, because we live in here instead of a house or apartment that we're renting. We're going to take all that money and we're going to do something with it. It could be buying land to then put this truck on legally somewhere, some like unzoned part of the country, I don't know. It could be a down payment on a house where we settle down. That's still far away. But the thing is, we are in a state of significant transition. I realize the more I research and prepare for this transition, how uncommon this actually is. I understand that it's like trendy to do like hashtag van life. This is not a $100,000 car that I bought pre-made from someone because I'm a rich kid. I grew up super poor. This is all because I want to save money. And it looks like the only way we will have a meaningful chance of not living in permanent debt, the way that most Americans do, is going to be by undertaking a weird risk of changing our lifestyle. We are going to live in this box truck for a year. No home, literally no home, technically homeless if that's how you define it, and working our jobs. Speaking of working, I value financial transparency. Again, I'm telling you, I intend to monetize this channel at some point. And monetize might not be the right word. That sounds like I'm gonna like turn it into like a money scheme. I mean, like, there's a thing on YouTube where like you turn it on and it runs ads and it lets you do channel memberships. Like, I'm gonna turn that on at some point. I was gonna do a Patreon, but I'm gonna do YouTube memberships instead. I am going to obviously turn all that stuff on to this channel. In terms of like my financial life, like I've told everyone, like this box truck, the original truck was a 2020. It costed $21,000. We've put about $13,000 of renovation into it, and it's mostly not the furniture. It's the solar panels and the many batteries we have back there and the giant inverter and all the tech that's going to let us be very nearly off-grid. So speaking of that, we have 2 months at the house that we are currently renting. Our lease ends in a month and a half. And from the end of that day on, we are 1 year going to be living in this box truck. It's got a bunch of solar panels up top. It can run for approximately 1 week unplugged with just the sun. That is with all this other stuff we have. You'll see. I'm going to make a video after the first like month or so of living in it, where I actually go over every little detail, and it will be a really long video. But that's what I've been occupied with. I used to be a full-time teacher. So it's January of 2025 now, right? I quit teaching. Like I put in my resignation in May or June of 2024 at the end of the school year. And then I transitioned to doing 2 things to make money, and I make way less money right now. When I was a teacher, I was making about $45,000 a year, before after taxes, essentially. I think it was like 50,000 before taxes, and then like 40 something after. And then my partner was making about the same, about 50 to 60,000. She made a little bit more than me. So we were like a 6-figure income household, but we were renting a $3,000 a month house here in Denver, which gave me the garage and the ability to build this and a driveway and all this stuff. Great opportunities, but that was super expensive. And just for 2 people, we had like 3 bedrooms and 2 floors. Like, I don't know what we were doing. It was a beautiful house. I love this house dearly. I'll remember it for the rest of my life. I'm incredibly grateful that we got to rent it. It was just really expensive. And the thing is, we started getting tired of that, and we started looking at stuff, and we realized that like, even a really shitty apartment is still only 30% cheaper than renting this house. And then I just started getting angry because I was like, that's stupid. Like, how is an absolute garbage apartment in Denver, how is it still so expensive? How is it still $2,000 or more a month? I'm so sick of this. So I said, you know, fuck it. I lost my mind, and I said, never mind. I'm going to figure out some other alternative. Like, how can I live differently? And then it became this whole van life sort of thing. And I've been building this. So I quit my full-time teaching job, so that way I would have the flexibility to actually build this. Like, this had to get built somewhere. And at the end of this video, I'm going to take you through the changes since the oldest video, which I'm sure I'll link in the description of this video. This is very different from how it was before, because I've actually gotten close to finishing it now. So we moved to this van life situation. I quit my full-time teaching job, 1, because I burnt out, and 2, because I needed the flexibility to build this. Instead of paying someone to build it, I built it myself, almost entirely alone by hand. It's been a lot. All of that happened. I quit my full-time teaching job, and I transitioned to making a lot less money and splitting my time between 2 very gig worky sort of things. I became a substitute teacher, a guest teacher for Denver public schools, which was hilariously easy coming from being a teacher. I clicked like 3 buttons online, and it was like, okay, you're a sub, now you're hired. And I'm like, oh, I thought that would be harder. So that's been very interesting. I will certainly make videos about, you know, my experience as a substitute teacher and what it's taught me about different school buildings. Very interesting. I found that to be a really wise choice on my part, because substitute teaching is a gig work sort of thing. You choose what you want to do, you choose where you want to go, what age group, and you go to it. And if you don't want to work for a week, you just don't work for a week. And it's awesome. The flexibility has been incredible. Substitute teaching is frankly so fun, even though it's still got problems, but like, it is so interesting. So I spend some amount of my time doing that. And then I also run an engineering business, which it's not an engineering business. It's not insured. It's a sole proprietorship. It's just me. I'm not even like tax level yet. I run an engineering business. I call it engineering. I'm not legally an engineer. No, I'm a designer. And that's what my actual job title is for the business. It's just me. And what I do is I 3D model parts for laboratory equipment. My partner, this is nepotism, by the way. My partner is a laboratory analyst at an EPA chemical testing lab here in Denver. I talked with some of her coworkers at a Christmas party 2 years ago, and I was like, oh, that's dumb that broke. I bet I could make that. And then I made the part that broke, and then they just kept asking. And now I talk with other labs, and I make little parts for their machines. So there are all kinds of semi-robotic machines that automatically take a little sensor and dip it into a test tube, and they have these complicated plastic parts that break or were designed very stupidly by the original person that made it. They break, they go to me, I 3D model the part, I print the part, I assemble it, and I ask for money, and that's it. I don't think I've made even nearly 10 grand off of that business in a year. No way, not at all. Probably like, you know, somewhere between a half of that and 3/4 of that, I would guess. I don't know. I don't know what my expenses are because I'm not tax level yet. It doesn't really matter. I'm not like IRS. I do have an official business though. Like it's registered with the state. So I get some money from doing that, which is nice, and it keeps me 3D modeling and keeps me engineering in a more formal capacity and builds up my resume, I guess. And then I also sub. I think collectively per year, I have gone from making like 50 grand a year for my household to like 20 probably. Between the number of sub jobs I take and the amount of money I make from engineering in a given year, I'm probably like $20,000 to $30,000 a year. So I took a bunch of money loss by making this choice. Do not think that like I'm magically made of money. We are taking a money loss on this, and it's been hard for a bit. But the second we aren't paying $3,000 a month for rent, life will be very different. And that's only a month and a half away now. So that is what is going on that front. And I think what I'll do now, I've like explained what's going on. I've got a month and a half left at this house. We are in the driveway. That's where we kind of live in here technically already because it's mostly done. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take you through what I've been working on because obviously I've been subbing. Obviously I've been doing my engineering business, but a lot of my time where I'm not doing stuff for the channel has been building this damn truck. So I'm going to go around to the other side of the camera and keep narrating like, I built this, I built that, here's what's going on. Cool. Okay, so here's a better look of everything in general over here. I've got a light on the camera so that way it actually illuminates things. It's actually very dark in here all the time. First obvious things. This entire wall is now filled with stuff. This is our composting toilet, which has electric run to it, as well as a vent to the outside. We have a projector screen, which I'll get to in a second. Over here towards the rear, I've built in a little coat rack, which is nice. That has been extremely useful and clutch. That is our heat pump. I already mentioned that in previous videos. We've got an air fryer classically on our little kitchen setup. The last thing that is not done right now is the kitchen. Like this table situation. I have been holding off on putting this together for the longest time because I just don't want to do it. And that's maybe just how I am. I'm actually a very lazy person in practice. We've got some very cute lights that are put up. They go around the different parts of the inside of here. Our storage system. This is very in character for us. This is just a thrifted shelf that we found from the thrift store. It has a bunch of individual compartments in it. Got my Spider-Punk comic in one of the windows. We put mesh over each of the compartments, and obviously the glaring object is, this is an ultra-wide monitor. This is my partner's monitor, who I will also use her monitor too. It's on a swivel arm that actually comes out, and then we put a chair right here, and it sits facing the monitor, so we can still have an office-level computer setup in this space on the go, which is very cool. This is the tripod that you were on a second ago. This is actually supposed to be a pretty filled space right here. This is the bike rack I built. This holds my giant Rad Rover electric bike. It's very simple, but it's also extremely sturdy. This is just a PVC thing. The triangle of the bike slides onto here, and then this locks it in place. I'm sure you'll see it eventually. That'll be in the update video once we're living in here full time. Yeah, this rack though is very interesting. So here's something. This is actually a projector and it slides out on this drawer that I built in, which is really sick. And then it projects onto the projector screen that we have over here. So we get like a full freaking projector screen in our little apartment on wheels, which has been super awesome. And then it just folds away into the actual cabinet. And then we've got our little elastics here that hold it in, but it's on a little drawer. Very cool design. I thought it was very cool on my part. I've added some other stuff. I have a little cabinet next to where I lay in the bed now. Very good for holding my various things. We added like a little food storage system. Ignore the 100 packs of potato chips because we like potato chips. And then there's the bed, obviously. The lens is compressing it a lot, but this is actually like 2 full feet to the ceiling right now. We've got our pillows. We've got a million blankets up there to keep warm. We've got some, let me see if I can zoom in. There you go, cool. We've got some fans over there. And then this really cutesy string lights that we had. We put them up in here too. It makes it look really comfy and cozy in here. And notably, this is what I've spent most of my time on. This that you're currently looking at used to be a gap to the front, and it is no longer a gap to the front because of some work I did to seal it off, essentially. Here is the lower area. Let me zoom out all the way. Lower area still looks like this. It's a folding twin futon down here. It's like a little space that either of us can go separately and be comfortable. And then this is a new addition. We swapped out our big fridge for one of these like RV style 12-volt fridges. And you can't see it under here, but underneath this entire twin bed thing is all the electronics. We added a second battery to take us from 4 kilowatt hours of storage to 8 kilowatt hours of storage. And we also added a 12 volt, a 48 volt to 12 volt converter, so we can run things like this fridge and the water pump, which is down there, and the fan inside of the toilet, and all these other things. We can run them off of 12 volt instead of 120 volt, which is very nice. And then this is kind of like the big thing I've been working on. So listen, we actually have spent some time testing out this car and trying to see how much battery it uses in a week. The thing I didn't really mention, I guess I'll turn the camera around real quick while I explain this. The thing I didn't really mention, this is such a heavy camera to be doing this with, it's ridiculous. The thing I sort of forgot to mention was that our plan is every weekend, while living in this city, every weekend we are going to go to a state park and plug in so we have power and somewhere to be on the weekend while we're not working. That'll be every weekend. So once a week we'll go back to a state park and reserve a spot for 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, to plug in and get recharged to 100%. So we're always starting from that. But the big thing in this place is to maximize insulation. You'll notice the roof is still just foam. I am extremely lazy with the ceiling, and I don't want to put a real ceiling in. Oopsie. But one of the big problems we had is that the connection to the cab of the car was a very bad sliding door that didn't insulate for nothing. So I built this. I'm now on the standing portion of the cab. It actually extends up vertically. I'm having to squat so you can fit me. Yeah, let's take a look at this. So this was before a very large portion of space that went about a foot back to a crappy sliding door that didn't insulate worth anything. And now we have something of a door that locks. It's actually a fingerprint lock that connects back into the rest of the truck. So that is how everything looks right now. All we really have left to do, with about a month and a half of time left in this house, all we really have left to do, I'm gonna have to hold you so you don't fall. All we really have left to do is finish the kitchen setup, maybe put in a little bit more storage, and then get ready to disembark, to go on this little year-long adventure. We've got to clean the crap out of the house so we don't own as much stuff. We've got to move what stuff we need into a storage unit. And then, yeah, paint the front, paint the new stuff I just put in, build the rest of the kitchen setup, and then we're good, actually. So that's a lot coming forward all at once. In terms of the actual channel, I'm not particularly going to slow down. But I've always bounced between posting once a month and once a week, and it kind of depends. I do have some projects I want to work on next, including a possible live stream. And I know damn well that because I hate saying only, but the way the YouTube algorithm works, I only have 1,000 subscribers. Statistically, maybe like 4 of you will see the live stream, I'm sure. There's no way all of you are going to tune in for a live stream when I've only ever done videos. But I intend to do a live stream doing the funniest thing I have ever thought of. Is this? I'm not going to tell you what the topic is. You'll suddenly see the live stream with 0 warning. Maybe I'll give it like 24 hours of warning. And it's going to be the stupidest thing I've ever done. And I've always wanted to do this. Just recently I thought of it, but I've always wanted to do a live stream of some sort to test. And the topic and idea I have for it is ridiculous. It's going to be a debut live stream, right? It'll be the first time I've ever live streamed, and it's going to be like hours and hours. It's probably going to be like 20 hours. It's going to have to be like 3 parts if I can't stay awake. It's going to be crazy. So look forward to that. I'm not going to become a live streamer, but I did think of this funny topic. I'll cut it down into a video afterwards. But yeah, that is what's going on with me. I'm sure this video is way too long. I apologize. I know it's not busy life person friendly to make a freaking half-hour long video or however long this is. I'll try to cut it down to get it shorter. But to wrap up, thank you. I am incredibly grateful that 1,000 of you found interest in the things I am doing enough to subscribe. I can't guarantee that I will always continue feeding you your favorite niche, whether that be environmental science or politics or topics about being a burnt out teacher. I can't guarantee I'm always going to feed you like what you want as an abstract concept of an audience, but I can guarantee that I will keep learning and presenting what I've learned to you and trying to uncover things that aren't being talked about as much as possible, because that is the ethos of this channel. The quiet part is about learning things that you weren't really supposed to and then talking about them with each other so we can all learn together. So thank you so much. It has been nice giving a little update with you. Take care and have a good day. Bye.